Welcome back to another Zero Context Patreon Sark advertising my Patreon content one out of context theater moment at a time. I finished up Gentle Warrior and then spent the rest of the month slogging through the second book of the Wolf by Wolf series, Blood for Blood. Foolish men marry for love. I am not foolish. No, this isn't foolishness. This is, did your mother whack your head down every single staircase step when you were a baby? Levels of stupid. He's not marrying for love, that much I can agree. He's marrying because Liz is a pretty woman and he's horny. I do not know if I can give it, Elizabeth answered. First, you must tell me what you will do with Belwen. Geoffrey was not angered by her order, as he could well understand her hesitancy. I need not explain my actions to you, wife. Remember that. He softened his tone and added, trust me. No, this is only the freaking plot. No big deal. No reason for the main character to be involved with this or anything. As soon as Elizabeth was safely inside the castle, Joffrey turned his attention to the waiting men. Harold, double the number on the walls, he said to one knight. To another he announced, only Belwen will be allowed entrance this day. Oh look, it's an author who knows how to do shifting point of views in third person. Maybe I should read more stuff from the 20th century. Remembers how misogynistic that this is. No, actually, I shouldn't. Oh, but she hoped Joffrey wouldn't make a scene. Why, she didn't even know if he was inclined to beat his wife. And though she had heard that he had a fierce temper, she had yet to see it. I hate when books are self-aware enough to make comments like this, but not self-aware enough to not write it to start with. Elizabeth found little Thomas curled up in a ball and sound asleep in the middle of her bed. Her brother's sleep became fitful. Elizabeth stretched out beside him and patted his back whenever he would cry out. Her voice seemed to soothe him, and his breathing became more regular. Within minutes, Elizabeth, too, was sound asleep. Geoffrey rolled her onto her back and covered her body with his while he continued to kiss her. Did the author forget that Tommy was literally asleep on the bed, too? Jeez, I can't. To place the matter before William, challenged Belwen for the truth in court. Elizabeth was already shaking her head before Geoffrey could explain. He stopped her with his hands and said, I did not choose that possibility for two reasons. One, I do not wish to bring my petty problems to my overlord. It is my duty to deal with my vassals. William has too much on his mind these days, he said, trying to keep peace in his kingdom and his household too. It is a melancholy time for him, he added. People were freaking murdered. Multiple families, children, women, servants, all slain. If you aren't going to bring stuff like that up to the king, then what the hell is the point of him? He looked up and saw Elizabeth's grandfather, Elslow, who stood before him. I'm sure that this is a beautiful name, meaning gracious hunter in Old English or whatever, but I'm mainly reading it with a Spanish accent. Elslow. I think you best protect her from the hawk. Elizabeth looked back at Joffrey and frowned. My hawk would not harm me, she said before looking back to the sky. She frowned again as she watched her pet's frantic circles. He is very close to burying you, Joffrey stated. He kept his voice soft, but the anger was obvious. Realization dawned. Elizabeth looked back at her husband, her eyes wide with fright. He was referring to himself by the name his men had given him. Ah, yes, the nickname that was mentioned when he was in his coma, and not once in the time since then. Joffrey's desperate attempt to seem way cooler than he actually is. The attack on Rupert's Holding would take place with the first light of dawn. I know that I haven't been the most attentive reader for this book, but I'm still waiting for the actual proof that Rupert did it, which is funny because Joffrey spent so much time trying to convince Liz that Belwen might have done it, but he needed proof, and then he hears about Rupert's injury and how he's been hiding away and is immediately like, Rupert did it! Make it make sense. Your case against this Elslow is serious. You accuse him of treason, but offer no proof of his guilt. I would know your reason now. Belwen stood and pointed his finger at Elslow. He is Saxon, and all Saxons are traitors. He has always wanted to reign Montreat, and you has tricked your vassal Joffrey into believing that he is loyal to you. His motivations are false. I know that he has joined the group of rebels against you. I love how his reasoning is, I'm a racist. In a single blitzkrieg movement, Luca's father dropped his iron cross and grabbed the boy by his collar. The author knows like 5 things about World War II. None of them are good or even half as accurate as they should be. I said it a lot during the first book, but it's honestly kind of embarrassing how little the author knows about what she's actively writing about. It would take him only a second to leap out in Blitzkrieg Adele. Use another freaking word. The German language is a rich language full of literally millions of words. They are the literal inventor of the friggin' word. Friggin' act like you know more than 5 of Germany's words. Felix lifted his hand above his head. He felt his own emotions well enough. Fear pissed warm against his crotch. Was this really necessary? The Fuhrer Adolf Hitler is not dead. Yale was no longer running, but the single stunned thought still chased her. Not dead, not dead. The problem is, At this point, the thing Hitler has created is so much more than he is. If Henry Kaiser Napoleon can strike at the military force and seriously cripple it, the fact that Hitler is actually still alive won't even matter. Although I'd like to see them argue their way out of it when millions of people saw Hitler being killed on live TV. Again, it doesn't even matter if Hitler is still alive or not. Where had not Adele learned the work-mount hand signals? For crying out loud, ask her for her freaking name so that you don't have to keep writing this garbage. The victor became not simply a part of the system that stifled Luca, but the very image of it. His face was immortalized on his sick hail posters all over the Empire streets. We are strong, the Aryan people thought whenever they saw it. We are so invincible, a 14-year-old boy can race across continents and win. Mainly I'm hung up over something that I call the Hunger Games phenomenon, which is simply put, why are children at the forefront of all of this? Where are the adults in this situation? One look, two, Yale's cuffs fell to the floor. In the previous book, it was established that Yale could lengthen her limbs at will. Why can't she shrink her hands out until they can slip through the cuffs? Why is this the limit, the line that the author is randomly drawing? But there was also Bosch's many instructions, intricate plan pieces rattling through his head. Use the Hitler Youth membership badge on your uniform to pick the lock on your cuffs. You will then free the inmate. On the wall of the cabin is a red lever, pointed out to the girl, but not too quickly. You'll want to jump as close to the 14-hour mark as possible. Do you have a watch? So much of what had happened in the past few hours had been staged. I don't know why anybody's surprised. My problem with all of that is that Yale herself is a bit of a wildcard. There's no predicting what she's going to do. I would also like to add that I'm not sure that anybody predicted that Luca would have been there as well. His boots were just one pair of the 100 standing on the plaza stones. There were other footwear as well, saddles, shoes, and wingtips, heels, and flat-strap Mary Janes belonging to the myriad of present civilians. Was telling us about your foot fetish really necessary to the continuation of the plot? Walking was not Luca Lowe's ideal mode of transportation. It was slow, with a poor energy expended to distance actually covered ratio. I'm sorry, next time I'll be sure to parachute down with a freaking motorbike! According to Bosch's timetable, the trio was supposed to land somewhere in the web of small towns outside of Germania, close enough to reach the capital in a few hours. Honestly, that's on that moron for having suggested that they jump out from a moving plane to start with. Yes, children, simply parachute out. You'll be fine, and also land perfectly in the outskirts of Germany. No way that you could possibly fail at this at all. Then this woman lifts back her sleeve to reveal that she also has an inmate number. Surprise! It's Yale's long-lost sister? It was never really explained their relationship, only that she was older than Yale and took care of her while they were at the camp together. I hope that this is explained now. Experiment 85. Dr. Greer must have perfected the compound, Miriam whispered when Yale's tale came to a close. The SS is using face changers. Thought we all understood that when the man you thought was Hitler was actually another shapeshifter. Felix knew many things about the girl. She was a criminal. Bosch called her an inmate, but there wasn't much evidence to argue with the SS officer. Good people didn't kidnap, lie, murder. Right, exactly how good people aren't herded into gas chambers without reason. Miriam, no, he's their poster boy, the one they look up to and adore. Yale, it's not like that. He's not like that. Yale, you forgot what genre that we're in. If this was nothing but historical fiction, yeah, we'd be screwed. Mercifully for all of us, this is a young adult historical dystopian AU fiction with a love triangle, so we're good. He would literally die for me, Miriam. But, Yale, he would die for me if he wasn't Endgame. 5 countries won, 6 counting Egypt. Why would you not count Egypt? You know, for a book that promises an alternate timeline, the author sure doesn't do a good job of actually giving us a reason to believe that this is actually an alternate reality. But then again, as I've been saying this entire time, that would rely too much on the author understanding literally a single thing beyond Hitler bad, him from Germany, killed Jews, and one of those isn't even true. You and Comrade Monarchy are to return to Germany and assassinate Hitler. I'm sure that this time it'll 100% be Hitler and not a shapeshifter. Good place reference. You wanted to stop and smell the sakura, he asked. I thought you couldn't speak Japanese. Why the hell do you know this random word? It's not like they'd be casually reading manga in this world. Don't be so eager. It's no easy thing killing a person. The National Socialists have no problem with it, Yale said, voice harsh with blood thoughts. The ones she tried so very hard not to dwell on. The ones that always caught up with her anyway. Do you really want to be like them? I get what he's saying, especially when you remember that Yale is supposed to be around 16 years old, give or take, but like she was loaded up into a fucking cattle car and shipped off to a death camp when she was around 6 years old. And much like with Anne Frank, it wasn't the gas chambers that killed her friends and family, it was disease from being forced into such close quarters. On top of that, you have the medical abuse Yale suffered, and this jerkwad idiot seriously looked Yale in the eye and asked her to be the better person here? Lying on your side on roads rougher than smallpox skin was no easy feat. I had to read this, and so do you. Can you see my bruises? She asked once the transformation was complete. She'd freshened her makeup before the trek here, but it was a delicate balance, powdering her face enough to hide Bosch's battering, yet not so much as to look cakey. I can assure you that guards from a concentration camp are not going to pay much attention to the makeup of a female employee. Join my Patreon as a free member to access all the same amazing content you love on Tumblr. However, for only $1 a month, you can join my Patreon and unlock all of this month's book snark, as well as early access to my free daily snarks. I'll see you next month, guys!